Gonna make the profiles boom, 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 boom. It's what it is. You already see what it is, man. Compton, 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 Compton. Say what? Already Hub City, Compton, man. The history of Compton, the Warriors in Compton, the Africano brothers that have been holding it down for Compton for a very long time. And I ain't gonna lie, put it on the map. But the map geographically has changed a little bit, and we're gonna get to that. Now, the city of Compton, in a menudo style in direct fashion, got a lot of respect for the vatos out of Compton. Linwood area, Compton, that whole little space right there, man. There's a lot of Raza influence there. There's a lot of Africano influence there too. The brothers, man, have been doing it for a long time. Okay, all the way back from NWA, Easy E, Easy does it. Dun, 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 dun. You already know, man, the boys in the hood are always hard. And they are always hard. You know, you might find some weak motherfuckers. God, there's weak motherfuckers they're everywhere, okay? But say what you But for the most part, most of them are with the shit. Compton is looked at as a gangster city. You know, a place where everyone there has to have a little bit of thug in them. You know, in the beginning of Compton's history, people don't know this. This is facts. It was a white area. It was, you know, you had to have some money to live in the city of Compton, the hub city. You had to be influential in your city and have some bread, just like Jesus said, break bread. And that's just how Compton was. Over the years, over time, the African-American community started to move into Compton from South Central, from the surrounding areas, and they were pushed into Compton. Whereas they started to establish, that's when gangs started to spring up, like the Crips, like Kelly Park, Compton Crip, Carver Park, several other hoods. And of course, you had the Southsiders on the other side, and Compton was formed, and everybody was on Pyru out there. Of course, you got Pyru Street, where the original Pyrus are from. There's just a lot of history when it comes to Compton. But demographics have changed. Demographics have changed, and the Raza influence is thicker than ever in Compton. Now, that doesn't mean that the brothers and the Raza go at it all the time. Hey, furthest from the truth, there's a lot of brothers that function, you know, side by side, simultaneously with the Raza. You got to understand that when people start to move into your area, you might feel some type of way. I'm sure the whites, they said, hey, now, hold on now, Sprinkle the Woods in. What's going on here? There's a lot of S-curls around this camp. You know what I mean? And they did it with their chest pushing. They kind of got gentrified. They got moved out of the area. The brothers took over. It got real hood. It got real hood. But that's to be expected. You know, different cultures, people don't understand the culturas, and they automatically assume it's all bad because that's not what they do. But I don't see it that way. I see it as every culture is beautiful and they have beautiful things that's involved in their culture. It's ingrained in their people. You know, so when you get brothers that move into the neighborhood, things are going to change significantly. You know, they have a certain charisma and a way they carry themselves, and they're not going to sugarcoat shit for anyone. So I'm sure when they moved in, a lot of the white people that were there at that time got on. You know, they were like, no, this ain't for us. You know what I mean? The price is right, though. No, it's wrong, bitch. I'm out. And they did it pushing, and of course you had the blacks that established for a long time. Now you had NWA that came out, and literally they put Compton on the map. NWA, DJ Quick, brothers like that were really establishing and putting on for their hoods. I think that's where the gangster music was solidified. I think that's where people started to really notice Los Angeles from the outside looking in. And Compton notoriously got that notorious rep of being a gangster city, the city of no pity. People didn't want to go in there or couldn't go in there unless you were from Compton, you know, unless you were embraced and the canalismo was shown. Now, like I said, demographics have changed. You have a lot of old barrios that have always been around, you know, like CV3s, Compton Barrio 70s, 155s, Segundo. You have the Tortilla Flats and several other barrios that comprise Compton. But it's all Compton, it's all Compton. At the end of the day, it's all Hub City, man. There's a lot of lines drawn in the sand there. You could be on one side of the block and vatos are, hey, he's from this. And then you could be on the next block and they're from this. It's a trip on how the gangs segregate themselves to certain corners, certain blocks, certain areas. But isn't it like that in every city? Compton being a smaller area, you know, there's a lot of gang influence there. The Raza has definitely moved in. I wouldn't say taking over because it can never be that. These hoods that the brothers established, these old school voters that have always been around, man, a lot of these guys connect and have gotten along for years. If you look at some of the game's music, Game being, of course, a blood out of Compton, he got a lot of raza influenced into his music. You know, you see a lot of Sureños or Southsiders allegedly in his music videos. And that's just the love that they show each other. You know, you got Tupac, it wouldn't be LA without Mexicans. Black love, brown pride in the sets again. They're always going to correlate. You know, it's always going to be that black and brown movement with an underlying tone to it. Now, we all know traditionally down south, blacks and browns don't see eye to eye on everything. You know, and that's just how it's going to be. You know, nothing's going to change that until the people decide they want it to change. Now, when you have a city like Compton that's so diverse, with the blacks and the browns, you know, being on one side and the other side, you know, it's either going to be guerra, it's either going to be war, straight up war, or it's going to be downtime and love. Now, everything I've seen from the outside looking in on Compton, I've seen nothing but love. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm from Compton. I've been through there a couple times. Shit, I did a push and I moved fast with a purpose, right? But I definitely have been to the city of Compton, and I will say I liked the atmosphere, the way it felt there. You could feel the tension in the air, just because you can get hit on any block if you're wearing the wrong colors, if you got the wrong attitude. But Compton, those that live there love their city. They take a lot of pride in being from Compton. Now, I know when NWA first said Compton, they put Compton on the map straight out of Compton. People were intrigued. They wondered what made that city different in California than any other city. And I'm here to tell you, it's just, I think the family, the way the families there have been there for generations. It's a generational city. There's a lot of things that go on in Compton that stay in Compton. They keep their element and their community very close. Now, a lot of vaudeville's in the 90s started to, you know, expand and blow up in the city of Compton. And Compton went from being a majority Africano-American community to about half and half racially. Okay, what does that do? That can either breed hate and conflict, or that can breed love and working together. From what I've seen, there's a lot of individuals, a lot of different vaudevilles that have no problems with different sets and vice versa. And that's a great thing. You know, we need to see this as a gateway to getting along, black and brown. You know, it sort of reminds me of San Francisco, where it's so diverse and you got so much going on in the city of Frisco and so many different minorities. Everybody is showing everybody love. Bay Area flavor. Now, Central Valley, a little bit different. Where I grew up, the wind blows over there a little bit different. And over there, motherfuckers are going to say it with the chest. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of conflict because everyone is fighting for that same little piece of land or whatever it may be, or that same torta with the big old ass. I know I want her. You want her? I want her. Can I ever? No, I want her. Let me get her first, and then you can have her. Right? That's just how that be. But Compton is different. You know, Compton is, of course, a city located in LA or in the LA County area that shows everybody exactly how you can live with the opposite, how you can live side by side with the opposition. You got to push. Now, they're gangster out there. Okay, it's different. It's different in the fact that, like I said, it's very family oriented and people do get along and they do that community thing. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that Compton is always going to be Compton. They have this image to uphold. They have these personas. You know, people expect them to really be in the mix, and they are. I ran into a lot of authors from Compton incarcerated in the youth authority, and every one of them was about that action. I can't say nothing bad about any individual I ran into, whether he be black or Chicano or Mexicano, whatever the case may be. They all had a thug in them. They all were about their hood. They had Compton and Bompton and whatever blasted all over them. They really are into their city and their town. They want to let everyone know, this is where I'm from, homie. This is where I'm born and raised. You know, there was a lot of vaudevilles, and I can't sit here and tell you the history on the conflict between vaudevilles, if there was any at that particular time when I was locked up with these guys. But I know that Compton had their own Ramfla when I was in YA, and it was all vaudevilles from 70s, 155s. I mean, they just all kicked it together. Like I said, I don't know exactly if they went at it on some personal tips and what vaudevilles didn't get along with each other. But I know that they definitely were representing Compton to the fullest. Now, the brothers, on the other hand, of course, they were doing the same thing. Compton was looked at and kind of hated on when it came to the brothers, from what I've seen. South Central LA had a very deep influence there. There was a lot of Hoovers, a lot of A-Trays, of course, a lot of the 6-O's, all the O's, neighborhood Crips, and a lot of Sangres. And it seemed like when vaudevilles would come from Compton, they had that Compton attitude, that Compton swag. Other brothers from South Central and the surrounding areas would kind of set trip a little bit. This is just from my perspective. Like I said, it could have been no, never mind. But this is what I see. Okay, the reason I shed light and give love to the city of Compton so much is I like the stilo, I like the swag. I like that old school flavor mixed with that new school beat. Okay? I like the deep, rich California history that has always went on there. They've set trends, just that one city, for a lot of what we do today. A lot of what we did in the 90s. Not necessarily today because they don't paint their nails and wear tight pants. But back then, you know, the Dickies, the Dickie outfits, the Ben Davises, the creases, the baby cuffs, you know what I mean, the Lolos, you know, everybody got a lowrider in Compton. You know, the palm trees, the flavor, that California gangster flavor that when you look at it and you see it, you know what time it is. They have set the trend. Just like the Bay Area sets the trend for Northern California, they set the trend for Southern California. Now, there's going to be a lot of people, and I'll say a lot of people that say, hell no, South Central's the ones, right? Hey, I give you respects when respects is due. But at the same time, this one little old city of Compton, man, has put shit on the map. Now, for those of you that remember, there was a video that was done a long time ago where it showed these youngsters, these Southsiders, man, and it kind of like followed them as young kids, man, in the neighborhood of Compton. I remember it blew my mind. I'm talking about Chucky, Woody, and cats of that nature. It kind of blew my midget, I believe. It blew my mind because at this point in time, I thought only I was a young gangbanger at a certain amount of time, you know, back in the days. I thought I was an anomaly. You know what I mean? How could I be doing it at such a young age? But then I realized these vatos were doing it even before me, 7, 8, 9 years old. It was ingrained in them, indoctrinated in them. Like I said, it's passed down from generations in Compton. Compton's been around and on the map for much longer than Merced has been doing what they does, cuz. You know, my hood started in the late 80s, early 90s, whereas these guys have been doing it since the 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe even before that. Geico cavemen were still out there hunting with fucking spears, and these vatos in Compton were doing drive-bys. It's facts. So when I watched that documentary, it tripped me out to see all the scars all over these kids' bodies. They were already shot 6, 7 times. Just the different things that they were doing. These individuals had a different look in their eye, like they were ready to fucking do bad things to people. That's the eye of the tiger of Compton. That's the persona. That's the get down. It wasn't no fakery. It was no added preservatives. It was all real. When you grow up knowing that you're from a city as notorious as Compton and it's ingrained in your mind, then you have to keep that motherfucking image pumping. You have to keep that pushing, and that's exactly what they did. Now, I watch a lot of these young rappers that are coming up from Compton, and I know their history, man. I know they come from a long lineage of straight gangster rap. You know, of course, like I said, you got Eazy-E, you got, you know, all the NWA. Of course, you have DJ Quick and Second to None and AMG. And then, you know, it gravitated into Mexicano rappers. And now we got rappers like Tres that are representing Compton to the fullest. His Vadu, he's always giving it up, as he should. And just from the outside looking in, I see that as a good thing. Representing your neighborhood and showing people that it's not everything that everyone thinks it is. But don't get it twisted. It can be. Everybody can get active at any time. Compton just has that flavor. Okay? I hate to say it, man. You know, people that hate on Compton. I met some people from out of state. They were like, hey, where you from? I was like, Califas, right? Because I was way out of state, man. I was over there in North Carolina. You know, I was fucking wiggling. The wiggle was real in Nashville, North Carolina. I was on the run for murder, so I was out there posted up. And they said, oh, you're from Compton? Automatically. I said, no, but I know about Compton. They said, oh, you know Dr. Dre and them? I said, yeah, I know Dr. Dre. I was bullshitting like a motherfucker. This white dude was eating a sausage and some grits talking about, hey, tell me about Dr. Dre. Is he really like that? I said, man, I don't know. I can't. Guard! Let him know. I don't know, right? One thing I do know for sure is Compton is on the map, even to the East Coast. You know, that's the first city that they say, and it's weird. It's always been weird to me, but it was the first city in LA to go mainstream. Okay, it went mainstream. The riots in the past, you know, the Watts riots, that kind of Compton got that, you know, they got looped into that. And then, of course, all these rappers that shouted out the words Compton, they put it on the map. So now you have these young rappers that are continuing that flow, continuing that flavor, and have a big shoes to fill. You know, NWA set the trend in Compton. That's a fact. And now these young rappers, you can see the influence, the game, you know, Eazy-E tatted on them, NWA tatted on them. There's a heavy influence there. Now, there's been a lot of notorious people that have come out of Compton, not necessarily just rappers, because we all know at the end of the day, the rappers ain't really with the biz like that. I mean, nowadays they are shit, cheap to keep. They'll fuck around and blow your shit off, right? You know, just ask them. They're doing it weekly. But back in them days, the rappers were just rapping to make a little bag, man, and just showing you the life. They were showing you the life, and that's what Compton is known for, is they were the first ones to put out the life, the Chicano lifestyle, the Africano brother lifestyle, man, to show you how everyone's wearing them dickies and the motherfucking creases like some beasts. And that was what it was. And that's how they got that name. Now, but with that name, of course, comes a lot of controversy. With that image comes a lot of naysayers and people that want to challenge that, that image and want to go against the grain. And like I said, you're more than welcome to go to the hub city. But don't get a hubcap across your head up in that city, because they will. They'll fuck around and max you out, period. And that's just how it is. I think every other city deserves their accolades and deserves the love for what they do and what they've generated. Compton is notorious just gangster shit, right? Period. Plain and simple. This is the most I could say for it. But what I'm saying is there's real ones in that city. Real ones that during the Rodney King riots, a lot of the Mexicanos, a lot of the Chicano gangs, a lot of the voters, I got to commend them. They stood strong and on their toes for their neighborhoods, man. They established barriers in the neighborhoods and let people know you're not going to come into ours and fuck up what we got going on here, Brown. That is to be commended. You got to understand that when people are rioting or people are destroying things, they're usually destroying their own city where they go, the local store they go to, their own hood. And if you love your hood or your body so much for you to destroy your own shit, it's like, I'm gonna have to hold on that one, because I don't understand that thinking. In Compton, they held it down, man, established and kept it pushing. So I want to say shout out to the city of Compton. I just wanted to put a little something out there, for people that sleep on that city and think, oh man, it's just all fairy tales. It's all mainstream and it ain't really with this shit. Go see what they're about, right? They're really about that action. Compton is different than any other city in the world. Like I said, man, there's a lot of brothers. There's a lot of raza. Maybe more raza than anything nowadays. They've always been there, but these barrios, man, are expanding and exploding and blowing up, And I hate to say, it being gang related, that I'm putting shine on the gangs and stuff like that. No, I'm giving respect to the people that are established there. But the city of Compton as a whole has a very, very deep, rich history in California, and basically put that gangster lifestyle on the map. Anyone who's confused and think, oh no, man, San Jose did it, or Salinas did it, or LA did it, or you got to give Compton their kudos, man. They're the ones who motherfucking did that. They did that. And it's forever forward with that. You got to respect it. Anyways, with that being said, that was just my little take on Compton. I will go in depth. I do know about some notorious figures out of the city of Compton, both black and brown, that I do want to speak on, that I've got permission to speak on from certain people. And we're going to get in depth with that pretty soon here on this channel. Gunners Profiles, you know what it is. We're about that biz. But at the same time, man, let's give respect where respect is due. City of Compton. Compton. I should have worn my Compton hat, to show love to the homies down there. I respect it because I'm affected by it. I'm affected by it because everything that I ever wanted to be as a young gang member, my image that I had of a gang member was off of that NW. I had the Razor Jack, the King's hat, homeboy. I have a Compton. I got two of them. Bang, bang. Got love for that city, man. A city that I have no part of, but has a part of me, if you see what I'm saying. With that being said, hope that you move forward with a purpose. Have everything that you want coming to you, because you deserve it, man, as long as you go out to work for it. If you're a lazy-ass baboso, you get nothing. I thought you knew it, fool. You know how Compton do it. And that's just real. Thumbs up if you fuck with me. Thumbs down if you don't. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown, because it won't. Never fall off the head of the one who's doing the most. You know what I mean? And that's just what it's going to be. With that being said, many blessings, black and brown, city of Compton, man, where they really get it in. This is the gun. Profiling, bang, bang, and in that fashion.